Hi, I'm Tom Cullen. We all know how technology has impacted our day-to-day lives, and in many ways, we're still in the very early innings. Fortunately, Dish is well positioned for the dramatic changes taking place in both the video and wireless arenas. The Dish DBS business and Sling TV are pioneering change in the pay TV world, and in mobile, we've been building a portfolio of wireless spectrum assets for over 8 years. We're still developing our specific plans for the wireless market, and in fact, we're currently involved in another FCC auction, which limits how much I can say. But today, I wanted to share with you a video we've developed so that you and our partners can hopefully put this exciting opportunity into better perspective. One note, because the wireless industry is constantly evolving, some of the usage stats you'll see are already out of date as the trends continue to improve. For instance, Facebook video volume exceeds what's referenced in the video. And at the beginning of July, Pokemon Go had not even been launched. Yet 4 weeks later, it was a global hit with over 100 million downloads. It's the first mainstream app using augmented reality, but there will be many more in the coming years impacting every market. I hope you find this video helpful in sharing our excitement about Dish's future. In the meantime, please stay focused on our core business and be prepared to sell our services at every opportunity, because it's the health of the DBS business that fuels our future. Of course, we always welcome your feedback and input, so please take a look and let us know. Thank you very much.
The world of connectivity is changing in dramatic fashion at an unprecedented rate as mobile data traffic has been increasing every year and will continue to grow unabated. Legacy infrastructure is made up of networks that are rapidly becoming capacity constrained and unable to meet the ongoing demands of consumers, businesses, and the continually evolving mobile applications. Beyond what we experience today, the impending rise of the Internet of Things will change consumption of data at a rate and in ways the world has never seen. Ever-increasing demand for mobile video is a primary reason Cisco predicts mobile data traffic will increase 800% over the next 5 years. Video will have the highest growth rate of any mobile application, and demand for increased resolution, more bandwidth, and processing speed will continue to drive consumption. This isn't going to happen. It's happening now. Today, half of Facebook's users are mobile only, and 75% of all its users' video consumption is on mobile devices. In early 2015, Facebook delivered a staggering 4 billion global video views per day, only to see it double to 8 billion views just 6 months later. Every minute, 72 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube, whose consumption is increasingly mobile. Snapchat delivers more than 7 billion video clips daily and growing. T-Mobile's Binge On program, aimed directly at the consumption of mobile video, has been so successful that users have doubled their viewing, and service providers have seen increases in active viewers jump 90%. And Verizon is seeing 70% of their network consumed by video, compounding at a 75% annual rate. But that's just today. It doesn't begin to take into account where we're headed. Within the next 2 to 3 years, mobile communications will embark on its 5th generation of technology. 5G brings increased speeds, higher throughput rates, and lower latency, raising performance levels of devices by 10 times, 100 times, and even more in some cases. The Internet of Things really comes together with the connection of sensors and machines. The real value that the Internet of Things creates is at the intersection of gathering data and leveraging it. Suddenly, we're no longer talking about the data needs of the 300 million plus cell phone users in the US. We're talking about the capacity for the projected 50 billion connected devices with the rise of the Internet of Things across all industries. Driverless cars. With the vastly improved reductions in latency, the concept becomes mainstream. The ability to stop goes from 5 meters to 5 centimeters, and collision avoidance becomes real. No longer are you stressed behind the wheel, instead having more time to consume even more data as you relax and watch video streaming to your car. Daily routines change with the ability to manage information for everything in your home, such as energy, entertainment, and security. Transactions become simpler and logistics improve, which creates new and more efficient commerce. Health monitoring provides real-time care, expanding medical services to telemedicine, allowing patients to receive treatments from major hospitals even if they're nowhere near them. facilitating and managing energy to increase efficiencies in production, delivery, and consumption, tracking weather and how temperature, humidity, or precipitation impact agriculture in real time. Whether it's all happening in your city or only in your virtual world, the possibilities are endless. Of course, it requires the infrastructure to support it and the capacity to make it all work. So the questions become, how do we handle all that data? How do we scale infrastructure for the rise of the Internet of Things? Qualcomm has taken up the initiative to help the wireless industry prepare for what they've highlighted as the 1,000 times challenge. A vision rooted directly in the phenomenal growth in demand for mobile broadband and data services. Whether it's 500 times, 1,000 times, or something greater, every resource will be required and need to be improved upon. The immediate answer is spectrum that is ideally suited for incremental capacity and readily available for deployment. Legacy networks were originally built to provide coverage for the largest number of users to reliably make voice calls. Low-band spectrum with its high propagation characteristics was the highest priority. As the coverage layer became consumed by legacy users, carriers moved to the mid-band to support the tonnage needs of rapidly increasing data consumption. The mid-band is the most flexible band available. Not only does it propagate well for coverage, but it's deep and for the most part unencumbered by legacy users, which makes it a prime candidate for additional capacity. The combination of deep incremental capacity, or as an extension of coverage where needed, makes the mid-band extremely versatile when it comes to network planning. As you move up to the higher bands like 2.5 gigahertz, propagation characteristics are reduced, which is why higher bands are better suited for small cell densification. Higher bands, like those used for Wi-Fi and more hotspot-oriented deployments at the 3.5 to 5 gigahertz range, propagate even less. Signal propagation becomes a fraction of the mid-band. Even higher bands, also known as centimeter and then millimeter wave spectrum, range from 12 gigahertz to 60 gigahertz, have even smaller coverage areas and difficulty penetrating walls, making them more suited for indoor coverage. And they haven't even evolved to the point where they support mobility. Dish's spectrum is unique. In addition to nationwide depth and availability, much of Dish's spectrum is in large, contiguous 20 megahertz blocks, the largest approved for use. Dish's spectrum is unencumbered. There are no legacy customers using it for older generation technologies like 2G, 3G, and even the current 4G standard, which consume the carrier's current capacity. 5G creates an enormous obstacle for legacy networks: how to service existing customers' needs and still move toward the next evolution of technology and ultimately the Internet of Things. 3GPP has approved Dish's spectrum for use in several band plans, the precursor requirement for chip manufacturers and handset makers to incorporate it into commercial products. Without new spectrum to expand and scale with use, networks would need to be reconfigured and densified where logistics are extremely difficult, and network planning and implementation takes years to complete. The unique benefit of Dish's spectrum portfolio is the asymmetric nature of the holdings, disproportionately loaded with downlink capacity. As data traffic began to outpace voice traffic, the once symmetrical nature of capacity consumption shifted dramatically toward non-symmetrical use. While usage patterns shifted, networks did not, stuck with paired spectrum in a world that needs something entirely different. Available spectrum for downlink use has been drying up at a compounding rate that continues to intensify. The Dish spectrum portfolio has 2.5 times as much downlink capacity as uplink. Dish's holdings are competitively significant, but because spectrum is something you can't see or put your hands on, it's hard to visualize the scale of Dish's holdings. The average spectrum holdings of the big three wireless carriers are quite similar to the Dish portfolio in total, but without Dish's favorable downlink to uplink ratio. Dish has spectrum of equal scale without a legacy customer base, unencumbered and readily available to be utilized in the 5G future. The consumption of data won't stop, and at some point even the mid-band will reach capacity, and higher bands will ultimately evolve and be deployed in a more meaningful way. As 5G is launched and capacity needs expand to higher and higher bands, Dish is positioned for that evolution as well. With over 500 megahertz of centimeter wave frequency in the 12 gigahertz range, with rights to all 25 of the top 25 markets, 42 of the top 50, and 69 of the top 100, well positioned for the population density where this type of spectrum will ultimately work best. Dish Network is a video-centric company. For 35 years, we've been evolving. From the beginning of satellite television to the radical technology changes that started the DBS industry and drove change throughout pay television, and are now recurring with the move to over-the-top video via the internet, Dish has been a leader, unfazed by changes and willing to embark on journeys that have strategically positioned the company as an enabler to the future of wireless video. Whether it was being on the forefront of technological changes like digital compression, spot beam satellites, DVRs, place shifting and ad skipping, or driving legislative change bringing millions of viewers the ability to watch local broadcast stations in their home markets, Dish helped lead the disruption of an industry that moved the U.S. from an analog world into the digital age. With more than 30 million users, Dish Network has become more than just a video provider, along the way building valuable foundational assets in-house. Nationwide sales and service capable of handling 10 million plus contacts per month. An in-home service organization that can reach every doorstep in the U.S. within hours, with availability for 22,000 in-home appointments per day for installation and service for a range of technologies. Dish has bridged the digital divide for rural America with satellite-delivered broadband for consumers with poor connections or no connection at all. At Dish Network, it's not just about building a business, it's about recognizing trends and preparing for the future. As a video-centric operator, Dish has relationships with every major programmer in the content world. Relationships that have positioned Dish as a leader in the move to internet-delivered over-the-top television, one of the most fundamental shifts the industry has ever seen. Sling TV, the first true live linear television experience delivered via the internet, launched in 2015 and is revolutionizing the way TV will be consumed in the future as the traditional pay TV model changes. Utilizing IP-enabled devices that consumers already have and eliminating the need for contracts, installation, new equipment, and other consumer hot buttons, Sling TV represents the future of pay television for consumers. The communications industry is at a crossroads as technologies and applications evolve and as we move rapidly to more advanced 5G services leading to a truly connected world. It's a once every 100-year opportunity. It's bigger, more disruptive than anything we've ever seen. Coming up with solutions to address wireless challenges, that's the obstacle. At Dish, we're enabling connectivity, well positioned for the future.